Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's September 8th, 2025. We got a little bit of rain last night. Sun's out full blast again today. So I just swept off a lot of the rain that's puddled up here. Thea's going to come out this morning and poke some cotton underneath where the low spots in the concrete are. Yesterday I set the level for where the concrete will go to. So this is where the top of the concrete will be, these finish nails all along in here. And these are anchored in such a way that they can't move sideways. So here's one of the tap cons here. So we'll see, and everything's tied together. Everything's just about ready. But one of the things I want to do, so there'll be 2 rows of anchor bolts. Boy, it's a nice day, a nice week, so all of the Fulton Airport, the planes are out this morning, and they'll be out all day, I'm sure. So sorry about all that extra noise. So there'll be 2 walls that this concrete is going to support. So there's going to be 2 sets of anchor bolts. So one of the things I'm going to have to do after I pour the concrete, once I get it all leveled out, I want to be able to position those anchor bolts so that none of them come up where a 2x6 stud will be. So there'll be 2 2x6 walls right here, back to back, touching each other. So we need an anchor bolt holding this 2x6 wall and an anchor bolt holding that 2x6 wall. So getting them positioned correctly is important. So I think I'll go out and grab some 2x3s. Now I could just mark on top of these, and I may do that. I may mark on top of this, but my experience in the past is I can completely cover up the marks when I'm pouring the concrete. And I don't know how this is going to go, because when I pour the concrete this time, I'm going to be using, the first time ever using, the mud mixer. So the mud mixer I assembled recently in one of the videos, but that's a wheeled unit that I can take the dry bagged quickcrete or sackcrete, the concrete mix, dump it into it, hook a hose up to it, and get the mixture to just mix the right mixture and pour the concrete into the form as we push the mud mixer along the way. Well, that's the goal anyway. So I'm hoping that that works out. Not positive yet. Like I said, this is the first time I'll be using this, and I may be starting that today. So I've got Thea's going to put the cotton under the lower part of the forms, just to try and keep some of the concrete from working its way out. Some will. I'll clean that up later, but she'll get that set. I'll go get some 2x3s, which are the same boards that are like right up against there holding the plastic on for most of them. And I'll get some 2x3s and mark out the 16 on center studs. I may mark the top of these forms as well. That'll give me the space, the placement of each one of the 2x6s that go down this wall, which is really important. But I want to center those later on, so I'll run strings afterwards on top of here to go ahead and get those about center as well. Same sort of deal. And one of the things I think I will do, since I discovered I'm a weakling now and can't really handle these 80-pound bags so much, I'll use the forks to pick up the pallet and move that closer to the mud mixer, so I don't have to pick it up and carry it so far, and so I won't have to bend over as much. Or at least that's my theory. So I've got to clean up all the wood. We had to put all this rebar and wood down here the other day because this plastic all blew away. So I'll clean this up first, get this ready to get uncovered, and put this all on the pallet, and then get the 2x3s, get those marked, and then we'll see where we're at. Today's going to be a nice day. This week is supposed to be a nice week, and the sky is beautiful right now. So we'll see how things work out. I'm not entirely positive about everything, but we'll work things out. There we go. Okay, so I got my big helper Thea out here. Thea's,
Hi.
well, just a second. So Thea's been putting tape and cotton around the edges here. Say hi, hon.
Hi, everybody.
You got a helper there, do you?
I got Timmy and Bruce jump ship.
Yeah, Bruce was just over there. He was laying in the sun up against the building there a minute ago. But Thea's coming through. We're just trying to keep as much of the cement from sweeping underneath. So using some tape. Unfortunately, we got a little bit of rain last night, so the ground's a little wet here in some of these spots. But, well, we're doing the best we can. And as you can see, still wet here. Just trying to keep some of the concrete from going underneath all the different undulations, the different levels of the concrete below the boards there. So another thing I'm doing, so as I mentioned, I want to know exactly where each one of my anchor bolts are going to be. That's super important, our anchor bolts. And we want our anchor bolts not to interfere with a stud that's in the wall. And there'll be sets of anchor bolts all along the way down in here. So, oh, there's Bruce Almighty, Mad Max, the other helper. Oh, thank God we got our helpers here.
Because the shade came out instead of the sun. He's
back. My goodness. So in order to calculate or figure out just where the stud should be, I went out back to the shipping containers. Todd climbed up on a bunch of stuff in order to, and I handed him these 2x3s and stored them in the top part of a shelf out there. So I just went out and grabbed something. So thank you, Todd. So I just went out there and marked up some of these 2x3s. These are not going to be the stud walls, but these are my markers for where the studs will go. So these are all exactly 8 foot long, with the exception of this last one here. I know I need 5 times 8 equals 40. This is 44 feet. So I've got the extra short one here, just so I can figure out exactly where the studs are going to be down here. And a key thing when you're laying out studs, this is a 4-foot ruler right here. And so when you're laying out studs, excuse me, and you're using sheet goods, well, you get this right to the end, and you want this one to go right in the center of a stud. So the next sheet of plywood, which this is all going to be plywood, is going to be midpoint right on here, and so they'll span them. So you don't mark 16 inches from the end, you actually subtract 3/4 of an inch. So there's only 3/4 of an inch on here, and that will match up, if they're 8 foot lumber, will match up with the 3/4 at this end. So now I can lay these down over there to see where the 2x will be. So when doing this, the X is where the 2x will be. So the 2x6 will be going here, here, they'll be up against this line. So anywhere in here, preferably towards the center of this, would be a good spot for the anchors to come up through. Hopefully this is making sense, but just wanted to share how I'm marking things out so I know just where to put those anchors. I'll lay these down over next to these ones and see just where they're going to be. So here we go.
Out in Oswego, where the wind cuts deep, building my workshop, dreams I aim to keep. 80-pound bags, they weigh me down. Body's aching, can't shake this frown. Used to toss them high, climb ladders with ease. Shoulder the load, no pain to seize. Now every step feels like a fight. Bones are creaking in the cold, dark night. Oh, my body aches, can't live like before. Can't toss those bags and climb anymore. Used to carry heavy up ladders, I'd go, but those days are gone. Moving stiff and slow, still I'm pushing on. with grit in my soul. This workshop's rising, I'm paying the toll. Aching bones and heavy loads, I'll build it strong where the wild wind blows. Cutting blocks today, wind howling wild, laying walls for dreams like a stubborn child. Once I'd haul 2 bags, never break a sweat. Now one's enough to make me regret. Oswego snow won't break this frame. I'm building tough, though I'm not the same. With every block, I'm stacking my pride. This 44 by 66, I won't let it slide. Oh, my body aches, can't lift like before. Can't toss those bags and climb anymore. Used to carry heavy up ladders, I'd go, but those days are gone. Moving stiff and slow, still I'm pushing on, with grit in my soul. This workshop's rising, I'm paying the toll. Aching bones and heavy loads, I'll build it strong where the wild wind blows. Muscles scream, my back's in pain, but heart's still tough through the wind and rain. Mezzanine's waiting, trusses to raise. I'll fight through the hurt for better days. Like trees I prune, too close, too weak. I'm cutting back doubt, it's strength I seek. Oh, my body aches, can't lift like before. Can't toss those bags and climb anymore. Used to carry heavy up ladders, I'd go, but those days are gone. Moving stiff and slow, still I'm pushing on, with grit in my soul. This workshop's rising, I'm paying the toll. Aching bones and heavy loads, I'll build it strong where the wild wind blows. So here's to the work, the ache, the grind, building my future one block at a time. Those heavy days, they've slipped away, but my workshop stands, and I'm here to stay.
So it's after lunch now, and I went ahead and laid those 2x3s out on top of these boards here, the forms that I've got, and then I transcribed the marks that I put on the 2x3s onto these boards. I'll show you that in a second. But here's an example. So I'm going to change some of the replace some of the anchor bolts that were originally put in here, that the gentleman put in when they rebuilt this place. So one 2x6 wall will be right down on top of these 2x6s here, going straight down. So this would be one of our end walls, you know, the most south wall. Then this wall will sit right up against this wall, and it'll have a stud here that will be nailed right on this spot here. And so it's really important to plan it all out. Now there'll be an anchor bolt here, an anchor bolt here as well. Both of these corners will have anchor bolts on them. This anchor bolt is placed really well right here. There will be a king stud or 2 right here. I'm sorry, 2 jack studs and 1 king stud right there. But if we figure this out, because this will be a 10-foot wall, even though this door is only going to be 80 inches tall, there's to be a header above it, but we still mark out where every stud will be above the door and above the header. And so here's where one of the studs will be here, and we look and see where I marked out where all these studs will be. And we want to make sure that the X, the stud, is on the opposite side you just are very consistent with where all of those will be. Want to get them nice and tight together. And this anchor bolt would be fine because it's midway in between these two joists here. However, when we get down here, this is not good. It's right up against the joist. So this one needs to be replaced. We want them, and we want them about 4 or 5 feet apart. I don't want to go all the way to 6 feet. Here, this stud, when he built it, was cut out for it, which is not good. So we always want to have our anchors being some way in between these two studs, not where the stud is. That's bad. And that's the way he actually had it here. And then again, we want one within 12 inches of the end here, same thing over here. So it's really planning it all out, making sure you know right where the anchor bolts have got to be. And if you're going to do it like this, putting down boards like this, make sure that the 16 inches on center is measured, and you want to be consistent with putting your stud on the same side on each one of these boards that you're putting down. So now we'll go back over here. And so when I laid those boards down on top of these boards, I went ahead and transferred that information. So there'll be a stud right here. There'll be a couple of jack studs here. A jack stud here, 2 jack studs here, a king stud here, and this is the 16 inches on center. No matter what, you want to keep those 16 inches on center. So here's where the next one will be over here. Of course, there'll be a couple in between here that go above the header for this doorway. But again, we got two jack studs and a king stud here and here. So we just have to within 12 inches of here, so we can put the anchor bolts right in here. It'll miss the stud. It'll be within 12 inches and all. So you can see each one of these. I'm doing it on the top and on the side because I'll probably get some concrete poured over my marks. The better your marks are laid out, the easier it will be to see. So we'll want to put the anchor bolt somewhere right in here in between, and then dead center of each of these spots. Then we get down to this end here, we're going to have 2 jack studs down here, a king stud, and then we're going to have the other stud here that's the 16 inches on center. So we'll put the anchor within 12 inches of the end here. Same thing over here. We have the studs that are going to support the header, and we're going to have the 16 inch on center, so that as the sheet goods go up on this wall, once you get above the doors, they'll be nice and tight all the way down. Same thing with over there. And if you're not planning it out ahead of time, you might run into the problem like this and put your anchor right where a stud has got to be. That's not good. We'll cut that one off, and we'll put some other anchors in appropriate places. Okay. Thea did a great job here getting the cotton and tape around here to try and prevent as much of the concrete from slipping underneath the unit. There'll be some, but this is what she came up with. Now it's wet down here. The boards are wet. You can see it's still wet down in here. It is what it is. What can you do? And we'll see how things are tomorrow before I pour. It's too late in the day for me to start pouring, because I just soon pour. She's going to do this side here yet. She's going to do this whole side here. And I'll leave everything covered up today, because it wasn't called for rain last night that we know of, but we did get a small amount of rain. And I just soon not get the concrete ruined beforehand. And if things go well tomorrow, we'll have the mud mixer out and we'll start pouring some concrete. And this is nothing to people who do this all the time, but we're mixing our own with the mud mixer. And then I just want to make sure everything goes smoothly, so it's done once and it's done right. So I think I'm going to hop on the mower and do a little bit of mowing today. Thea's going to finish that up, so we'll be set for tomorrow. If things go well, I'll do the pouring the concrete. If not, it'll be the day after potentially. It's supposed to be nice the next few days. Would it be great if there were 2 of us to do it? Thea can't do this. This is too much for her fragile bones and her lungs. We don't want her anywhere around here when we're pouring the concrete. So I think we'll get started. Well, I'm finishing this. I'll get started doing some mowing, and Thea will finish this up. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Really appreciate your watching, your thumbs up, and I hope you folks stay safe and take care. Bye-bye now.